Jesus Christ. We bless the Lord for such a beautiful day. And it is always beautiful because God is in that day. The Bible tells us that on the seventh day, God blessed that very day, and the day was blessed, and He rested on that very day. The reason why the day was blessed is because God blessed it, and He rested in it. So when God is in a day, the day is always going to be beautiful. And thank God that He's in time and space. He's everywhere, and He's always present. So we can be sure that the day is going to be beautiful or amazing because God is into it. All we need is to have this very consciousness, and the reality will be our experience. Now I pray for you wherever you are in the name of Jesus, that you be lifted up and continue to move forward despite the challenges, the limitations, whatever that is trying to blind your eyes so that you may not see the glory of God in your life around you. I pray that you will surmount, you will go beyond, you will fly by the power of the Holy Spirit. You'll be lifted high as you discover and learn the truth about you, the truth about God, the Evangelion, the Gospel, which reveals it, will be more clearer in your system, in your understanding, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, and you understand and you walk in freedom and experience rest in Jesus' mighty name. Like I said, it's always a beautiful day because God is in it. And God is always on your side. He's your Father. He's your source. He's the beginning and the end. He's everything that you have, and He's everything that you need. We bless Him because He's always there. Our problem might be us being in the state of sleeping or dreaming, but when we are awakened, we realize that God was always there. He's omnipresent. He's always with you. And that is what makes Him God. He's everywhere and He's always there. What happens to us is sometimes we feel like it, other times we don't feel like it. But here is not the problem. It's not problem of feeling it or not feeling it. The consciousness, you see, there's a difference between the awakening of your consciousness and your feelings. You see, when you awaken your consciousness, and that is a reality in you, in your understanding, the feelings will follow what your consciousness is aware of. The feelings will always follow what your consciousness is aware of. So if you persist in a given awareness, the feelings will definitely come and connect to your consciousness. So we should not now look for it in our feelings. You will not get the accurate knowledge from there. Though they are important, and sometimes they can be our indicators, but the knowledge is important, more important. When we know something, the feelings will come and agree, and they will be aligned. So we know that God is omnipresent. When you know that God is omnipresent, you won't feel like He's far. And if you just think about it or meditate about it, you will be amazed that the feelings are also joining what you have in your mind. So we know that God is on our side, and we are in Him and He's in us. And that is the greatest mystery that was revealed to us. Through Jesus Christ, God is no longer separate from men. He's one with us. The day Jesus became man, the day the incarnation took place, God was permanently joining man. And in resurrection, man was lifted in divinity. And that was going to be permanent. And that is what we should learn. That is what we have to learn. That is what we have to understand, because this is everything. This means everything. You know, instead of asking God to give you something or give you this or give you that, imagine he chose to give himself to us. He chose to share himself with us, and therefore whatever we wanted from him is now with us. See, he didn't want to give us from what he had, you know, one after the other, the riches, the knowledge, the wisdom, and so on and so forth. He gave everything he had by giving himself to us, by sharing himself to us through his son Jesus Christ. This is the mystery. This is beautiful. This changes everything. If we understand it, we'll be blessed, and we'll be at peace. We'll live a fulfilled life, just knowing that God shared himself with us through Jesus Christ. And this establishes the beauty of the new covenant. When I'm talking about the difference between the old and the new, you see, the old presented something different. The law was there to be obeyed. But today there's nothing like that. Rather, something happened. God became one with us. See, the law was out there, something that people were supposed to obey. But today it's different. See, we read it in Hebrews chapter 8, verse 10. That is the following verse from what we read previously. This verse says, "For this is the covenant that I will make with them, the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I'll put my laws into their minds." You see that? "I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people." You see, this is very profound. This is very deep. When God say, okay, let me explain to you the new covenant. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. Let me reveal to you the kind, the type of the testament that I'm going to make with you in the New Testament. This is the New Testament. He said, I will change everything which was out and bring it inside. And now remember, the law was not written in them. They were following the law. They were trying to obey something out of them. The law was written on tablets, on the stones. It was engraved on the stones. So they were trying to obey one law after the other. But he said this New Testament is going to be different. You will not have to obey something out of you. What you are trying to achieve, what you are trying to get to, that you thought was out of you, I'm going to put it inside you. I'm going to put it inside you. It's going to come into you. You see, now we see a shift from outside to the inside. Whatever you are trying to get out of you is going to come inside you. You see, one of the mysteries in the New Testament is that what we are looking for out there is now inside of us. And this is the mystery we discover in the New Testament. And this is just a picture to show us what God was going to do. He was going to share himself with us and become one with us. And the statements like, Christ in you will be understood. You see, and that was going to change everything. The new is different from the old. The old was about us trying to reach out something, but the new is whatever we're trying to reach out to is now inside us. In the old, they were trying to obey the law in order to have a fellowship and a communion with God. In other words, they were seeking God. They were trying to achieve the relationship, a certain level of communion with God. But God is saying today that you don't need that. I have come to dwell in you. You see, the idea of the law dwelling inside you, coming inside you, being written in your mind is a picture of the indwelling presence of God himself. It's the picture of the indwelling presence of God himself. This is what he's talking about. The God has chosen to dwell in you, and you are in him. So that communion, now there's going to be a change in your fellowship, in your communion. Instead of looking for something out of you, it's now inside you. It's the acknowledgement of what you have, the acknowledgement of his presence in you, the acknowledgement of his power, his energy, his knowledge, his wisdom, his forgiveness in you. It's no longer out of you, it's in you. And this is the change. Brethren, I found out that not many people are aware of this change. And this was a radical change because it was shifting from outside to the inside. And this was going to be permanent because this was in the heart of the Father before the creation of the earth. You see, when you discover this, you now stop seeking what you have. You stop running after what has been given to you. You begin to commune with what you have. You begin a different journey of communion with what you have, and you grow in the knowledge of what you have. This is the difference. This is the difference. This is the difference. There's a version, Knox, that says, I will implant my law in their innermost thoughts, engrave it in their hearts. He was talking about the engraving of whatever I have inside them, inside their heart. God dwells in our hearts. That means he was talking about, figuratively speaking, was talking about God dwelling in them. But now you remember, the time he was giving this prophecy, it was in the Old Testament. They could not understand that God could come and dwell in man. That is why he used this analogy. He used this imagery. It was in Jeremiah when he was prophesying. He did not say that God will come and dwell in you. No, he did not say that. But that is what he wanted to talk about. But the people could not get it in their time. And therefore he used this image that this law, because they considered law as holy, as righteous. In fact, it represented God. If you're walking according to the law, you're walking with God in their minds. And therefore he said, now what you are seeking for, what you're looking for, what you thought that is out there is going to be engraved in you. The word engraving, that is what they use to, if you want to write on the stone or on an iron, and you want it to stay there permanently. It's an idea of a permanent writing on something. That means it will not part again. It will not go away again. It will stay there permanently. So the idea was there. The God wanted to be one with us permanently, and he was gonna choose to stay, to dwell, to be one with us, whereby we are in him and he's in us. This was gonna be the New Testament. So the New Testament is far, far better than the Old Testament. The old, there was a separation sense. The sense of separation was there. But in the new, there's no sense of separation. There is union. And now the union is real and possible because God has done it. And I want you to see it. God is the one who's going to do it. He's going to engrave, to write it. He's the one doing it. It's not us who are trying to do it. This is the difference. The New Testament.